onto the griddle so that the cheese and the metal make full contact. In 1 to 2 minutes, the cheese should be nice, beautiful brown and crunchy. Now I'm laying that off onto this little refreezable ice mat so that the back of the lettuce will stay nicely chilled. There we go. The point is we do want it to be salad-like, and if the heat from the cut side goes all the way through to the rib side, then the whole salad thing will be kind of ruined. Now the vinegar. Time to retrieve your vinegar, which should be nicely solidified, and grab yourself a fork. Not that you have to keep that in the freezer, mind you. Grasp the lettuce thusly and sprinkle the vinegar on, just like dressing up a hot dog with relish. Next step, consume. Hot, cold, sharp, sour, oil vinegar. It's a hot dog, it's a salad. No, it's both, and it's good eats, to be sure. And since the vinegar is frozen, it's not nearly as volatile, so it doesn't tickle your nose until it tickles your tongue. Legend has it that the greatest meat vinegar dish of all time was invented in Germany around 800 AD by none other than the great medieval king of all these lands, Charlemagne. Now, I believe this just like I believe those rumors about Catherine de Medici inventing the fork, or Charles Monet inventing the chocolate mousse, or was that Manet, I don't know. Either way, I ain't buying it. I suspect that sauerbraten was born of necessity. I mean, keep in mind, up until, 150 years ago, the only way to preserve meats was, well, you could dry it in the wind, you could cure it in salt, or you could soak it in vinegar. Vinegar is really a better method because vinegar contains antimicrobial agents. Now, let's talk about regionality. Sauerbraten was supposedly born in the Rhine Valley. That's a pretty juicy wine region of Germany, so it makes sense that the people there might use vinegar as a preservative. But dishes that are soaked in vinegar and then cooked in vinegar tend to be really, really sour, so it also makes sense that the folks around there would build some kind of sweet sauces to counteract all that acidity. Now, that sauce is the very heart and soul of what sauerbraten is to this day. My method pays heavy respect to the tradition, but I've taken the liberty of making a few modifications. First thing we do is build ourselves a pickle, and for that, we'll need a pan, kind of like this. Into this pan, place 2 cups of water, 1 cup each cider vinegar and red wine vinegar, a medium onion chopped, a large carrot chopped, a tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, 2 bay leaves, 6 cloves, 12 juniper berries, and a teaspoon of mustard seeds, all of which should be easy to find in the spice section of your local Mega Mart. Now cover this and bring it all to a boil over high heat. Then drop the heat and simmer nice and low for 10 minutes. Now, since vinegar becomes a little volatile when it is heated, you might want to activate any of your ventilation control systems that you might have around, even if it's just opening a window. Now, we've got the sour part working, so let's work on the braten, that is the roast. And for that, we will need 3½ pounds of bottom round. All right, get around there, little doggy. You shouldn't watch too much TV. It's bad for you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now, the round is, of course, the entire back leg of the beef critter, and it's named after the shape of the bone that runs through it. Now, technically, it is the femur, but asking your butcher for some, bottom femur just sounds creepy. Now, the bottom round, from here to here, distinguishes itself from the top round because it's got more connective tissue, and in a long cooking dish like sauerbraten, more connective tissue is a good thing. What's that? Why can't we use chuck? Well, besides being, fattier and containing more gristle, I really think that the bottom round has more beef flavor. And a dish like this that's got a very, very strong marinade, we need all the beefiness we can muster. Now, get on there, little doggy. Scram. And don't do anything I'll regret on my living room. Why do I call them doggies anyway? They're cows. It's a very different animal. Traditional cooking wisdom clearly states that dishes like sauerbraten, i.e. pot roasts, should be marinated, then seared and braised. Why? Because up until the mid-20th century, it was believed that searing sealed in juices. If that were true, then searing would also seal juices out, juices like our marinade. But we've learned since that searing doesn't seal anything, in or out. So I say, why not make things easy on yourself and sear well on all sides while the marinade is simmering. Now, let's take some time to review our searing procedure, shall we? Always rub the meat with a little bit of oil, safflower, canola, vegetable, whatever, before searing. Never put the oil in the pan or it will burn, make a lot of smoke and a lot of stink. Always salt the meat before it goes into the pan, but no pepper, because pepper burns. Once the meat is in the pan, don't go messing with it. Do not touch it. Don't move it for at least 30 seconds so that it can develop good contact with the pan and therefore a good crust. Last but not least, never ever poke it with a fork. Use your tongs. Why? Hit it, thing. Thank you, Thing, for that meat handling demonstration. Aggressive little guy. Once the marinade has simmered, remove the lid, let it cool down for a few minutes. Then when the meat is nice and seared as it is, you may deposit it directly into the marinade. Now you notice we used a pot that's as small as possible so that the meat will be as submerged as possible. Now we're going to let this sit on the counter for about an hour to cool down and then stash in your chill chest for a minimum of 3 days. Oh, bother. Actually, 5 days would be even better. That will certainly give enough time for the meat to go through an amazing metamorphosis. Your patience will be rewarded. When cooking time comes, simply remove the meat, pour in 1/3 of a cup of sugar, whisk well, replace the meat, put a lid on top, and slide into a 325-degree oven until the meat is fork tender, about 4 hours. Now, any good German housefrau would probably find this sauce to be a little on the acidic side, not to mention a little bit thin. So looking around, she would probably try to find some way to add some body as well as some sweetness. She might turn to her supply of Lebkuchen. Oh, blast! I'm all out of German Christmas spice cookies. Well, if you don't have any more of those around, you might go for 5 ounces. That's about 18 old-fashioned ginger snap cookies. Crushed, of course. Excellent. Oh, usually, at least traditionally, 1/2 cup of raisins would be added to the sauce. But if you ask me, raisins are always optional. So we will turn our heat up to medium-high. Remove those solids now that they are completely spent, and slowly whisk in said cookie crumbs. And just let these cook until they're almost smooth. In mere moments, you will have gone from an acidic, watery bath to a thick, beautiful, spicy gravy. Golden brown and delicious. I said they're optional. Gosh. Now that's good eating. You can slice your sauerbraten traditionally, as I have here, or you can kind of do an American, take on things and shred it with forks like barbecue and put that on a Kaiser roll. Kaiser, named after Kaiser Wilhelm. German, sauerbraten, German. Coincidence? I don't think so. Oh, yeah. Why distilled vinegar? I did say that it was worth having around in the kitchen, even though it's not worth having around in food. For instance, if you're stuck with some wilted salad greens, just add a bit of white vinegar to the soaking water, and in no time, they will be revived. See, nice and crispy. Equal parts of vinegar and water make a righteous glass cleaner. Just wipe dry with crumpled newspaper and your glass will be streak-free. Copper cookware is nice to use, but difficult to clean. No problem. Just dissolve a teaspoon of salt in a cup of white vinegar and stir in enough all-purpose flour to create a thick paste. Rub this on the bottom of the vessel, wait 15 minutes, rinse dry, and behold the new pot luster. Since acetic acid is pretty gosh darn good at killing bacteria, molds, and viruses, white vinegar is great for cleaning cutting boards. Well, I hope that we have inspired you to get a little sour wine into your cuisine. Few, if any, substances can bring this much to the party without bringing a high calorie count along for the ride. My suggestion, play with your vinegar and play often. Whether you're talking baked goods, salads, soups, meats, pickles, or marinades, I think you'll find that a pantry stocked with vinegar is a pantry stocked with goodies. See you next time.